Your brain processes the world in a way most people don't understand. You pick up on things others miss, a strange energy, an unspoken emotion, a shift in the room no one talks about. You sense what's coming before it happens, and yet, when you try to explain it, it feels impossible. This isn't your imagination. It's a rare gift, and it has a name. In this video, you'll learn the key traits of an intuitive introvert, and more importantly, how to use this unique gift to your advantage in everyday life. Carl Jung described intuitive introverts as individuals deeply attuned to the unconscious, able to recognize hidden patterns and anticipate events before they unfold. This heightened awareness can be a strength, offering a broader understanding of reality, but it can also be challenging when the world around them seems misaligned with their way of perceiving things. An intuitive introvert doesn't experience life the same way most people do. While others take in reality in a straightforward and concrete way, they notice subtle details and detect patterns before they fully take shape. They don't just hear words, they grasp the meaning and intentions behind them. This deep sensitivity makes their insights expansive, yet difficult to put into words. Imagine someone stepping into a room and sensing tension long before any argument even begins. Or someone who senses how a conversation will unfold before anyone even brings up the topic. They process information in deep, complex layers, and their thoughts often race far ahead of the present moment. But this way of perceiving the world can become difficult when they try to put it into words. How do you describe something that arrives in your mind as a complete picture, an intricate web of unseen connections? Intuition works on multiple levels at once, while language follows a straight, step-by-step path. This is why they might pause before speaking or seem detached during small talk. Their mind has already explored endless possibilities before they've even begun to form an answer. And when they do try to explain, words often fall short. If they're met with a puzzled expression or a reaction like, "Wow, that's out there," they quickly realize that what was crystal clear in their head didn't quite make sense to others. And it's exactly this difference that sets them apart from most. While others move through social interactions with ease, the intuitive introvert often feels like an outsider trying to translate a language that has no direct equivalent. They don't slip naturally into everyday conversations because their mind is drawn to what lies beneath the surface. They aren't just listening to words. They're tuned into the tone, the expression, the intention behind them. Yet, this heightened awareness, which can sometimes make them feel isolated, is the same ability that allows them to detect hidden patterns and find creative solutions to problems no one else has even noticed. But there's one key detail that changes everything. This gift isn't just limited to their inner world. The intuitive introvert has a unique way of reading people. They don't need a long explanation to understand someone because they pick up on signals that go unnoticed by most. A small gesture, a slight shift in tone, a particular choice of words, or even silence itself can reveal far more than what's actually spoken. That's why, so often, they sense when someone is struggling before the person even acknowledges it. Have you ever had someone look at you in surprise and ask, "How did you know that?" even when you had no clear explanation? This happens because their mind works through connections, linking subtle signals to patterns they've unconsciously recognized before. And this skill isn't just limited to people they're familiar with. An intuitive introvert can form an accurate impression of a complete stranger. They notice small things, posture, eye movement, even the rhythm of someone's steps. Have you ever felt an unexplainable sense of distrust toward someone, only to later discover your instincts were right, or the opposite? Felt an instant bond with no clear reason why. It's not supernatural, it's sharp observation. Their brain collects details that others overlook and puts together an invisible puzzle in mere moments. But this awareness comes with a cost. They can tell when a friendship lacks sincerity, when someone is masking stress, or when a smile doesn't reach the eyes. Their deep sensitivity makes them careful about who they let in, because once they notice something is off, they can't simply ignore it. Yet this same awareness is also a gift. It allows them to form deep, meaningful bonds with the right people. And when they find someone who truly aligns with their way of understanding the world, that connection is rare and life-changing. There are places that feel stifling, even when nothing obvious seems wrong. The intuitive introvert senses this immediately. Before a single word is spoken, their body has already picked up on the energy of the space. They step into a room and can almost feel the tension in the air, like a song playing off-key in the background. Sometimes, they don't need to witness a disagreement to know one just happened. The heavy atmosphere says it all. On the other hand, there are spaces that instantly bring a sense of peace, as if harmony is woven into the walls. This explains why they instinctively avoid certain places, even without a logical reason. Their intuition acts like a finely tuned radar, detecting invisible cues that most people overlook. And this sensitivity isn't just limited to surroundings. The emotions of others have a profound impact on their own state of mind. If someone nearby is feeling uneasy, they might sense a heaviness in their chest without even knowing why. Just being close to a nervous person can make their own thoughts race. They pick up on the smallest shifts in a group's atmosphere, a subtle change in tone, a glance that lingers a second too long. This keen awareness allows them to sense tension before a single word is spoken. This is why they often take a step back to observe their surroundings before joining in, not because they are shy, but because they need to understand the setting before fully engaging. The challenge is that this heightened sensitivity can be exhausting. Loud, chaotic places quickly drain their energy. Busy shopping centers, crowded gatherings, or noisy discussions can leave them feeling mentally overloaded because their mind is constantly processing every detail without pause. This is why spending time alone isn't just a preference. It's essential. It's a moment to clear their mind after absorbing so much from the world around them. Inside the mind of an intuitive introvert, there is an entire universe. While most people focus on what's in front of them, they are pulled into a world of images, symbols, and ideas that appear unexpectedly. A simple object can trigger surprising connections, linking thoughts that, at first, seem unrelated. This is why they often drift into deep daydreams, exploring inner landscapes so vivid they almost feel real. Their mind doesn't follow a straight line of thoughts. It moves like an ocean, with every wave carrying a hidden meaning. This strong connection to their inner world makes them naturally introspective. They reflect on everyday experiences as if they were metaphors, searching for meanings that others overlook. Instead of just recalling a rainy afternoon, they notice the way the storm seems symbolic, the rhythm of raindrops against the window, the quiet sense of nostalgia it brings. This depth allows them to find meaning where others see only routine. To them, every detail is part of a larger puzzle their mind is constantly trying to piece together. But this intense way of thinking has its challenges. They often struggle to put their thoughts into words because few people truly understand this perspective. While casual conversations tend to focus on surface-level facts and events, their mind is busy unraveling deeper, more abstract interpretations. This can leave them feeling alone in their thoughts, as if they are always ahead of what is happening in the present moment. But this ability to notice what others overlook not only shapes the way they see the world, but also allows them to recognize hidden connections that most people never even consider. For an intuitive introvert, nothing is just what it appears to be. A single leaf drifting to the ground can represent the cycle of life, a farewell, or even a hint that a change is near. Their mind doesn't interpret reality in a straightforward way. Instead, it works through symbols and deeper meanings, turning ordinary moments into something significant. They notice patterns in what others dismiss as random events, pick up on unspoken messages in what seems like coincidence, and sense that everything in life is somehow connected. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, when an external event, no matter how random it may seem, connects in a profound way with something internal, like a thought, a feeling, or a dream. For Jung, these coincidences are not just luck or chance, but a symbolic language between the unconscious and the outside world. When something seemingly meaningless happens and touches you in a way that no one else understands, maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's your unconscious trying to tell you something. This symbolic way of thinking makes them highly observant, always searching for the unseen meanings woven into everyday experiences. This unique way of understanding the world shapes how they make choices and interpret situations. What seems ordinary to others might carry deep significance for them because they rely more on intuition than on logical reasoning. They might walk away from an opportunity, not because it appears bad on the surface, but because something inside warns them it isn't the right direction. Have you ever said no to something that seemed perfect just because your gut told you it wasn't right? They often sense when a chapter in their life is closing long before circumstances confirm it. Their way of processing events doesn't follow the usual logical steps. Instead, they recognize subtle patterns, almost as if they are always ahead of time itself. However, this symbolic way of thinking is not always easy for others to grasp. When they express their perspective, it can seem mysterious or disconnected from reality. People might ask, "Why are you reading so much into something so simple?" without realizing that this variability is what makes them so perceptive. They don't need clear evidence to recognize that change is coming. They've already felt it on a deeper level. This heightened awareness pushes them to look beyond the surface, to explore new perspectives, and to recognize possibilities before they become obvious. The intuitive introvert doesn't just exist in the present. Their mind is constantly mapping out future paths, identifying patterns, and predicting scenarios that others haven't even considered. While most people focus on what's directly in front of them, they are already envisioning what lies ahead, as if their intuition acts as a guiding light, revealing unseen roads. This natural curiosity pulls them toward the unexplored, toward abstract ideas and concepts that go beyond ordinary thinking. They feel an ongoing sense of searching, as if there is always something bigger waiting to be uncovered. This visionary mindset makes it difficult for them to engage in repetitive tasks and routine responsibilities. Mechanical activities, surface-level discussions, and predictable duties quickly drain their enthusiasm because their mind craves challenges that fuel their creativity and ability to see beyond what is obvious. They are drawn to philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and anything that encourages deep contemplation. If something doesn't spark their curiosity, they lose interest quickly. This is why they often feel out of place in traditional systems that prioritize stability and predictability, while their true nature longs for growth and discovery. However, this focus on what lies ahead can also become overwhelming. They might become so absorbed in their thoughts and visions that they struggle to turn them into reality. Sometimes they feel frustrated when those around them don't seem to follow their way of thinking, or when their long-term ideas are not appreciated in the present moment. Yet, it is this very ability to see beyond the present that allows them to shape possibilities, turning ideas that don't yet exist into reality. However, expressing such deep thoughts can be frustrating, a challenge they encounter daily. Trying to put into words something that was understood instantly can feel nearly impossible. The intuitive introvert notices links that make perfect sense in their mind, but when they try to explain them, words seem too limited to fully capture the idea. They might begin a sentence and halfway through realize that what they're saying doesn't completely reflect the depth of their thoughts. The idea is vast, yet the words available feel small. Sometimes, what they wish to communicate is so layered that simplifying it would strip away its true meaning. When they see puzzled expressions or receive vague replies, their frustration grows. This struggle with communication often pushes them towards silence. In group settings, they may choose to listen rather than speak, not because they lack opinions, but because they know how difficult it is to express them in a way that others will grasp. When they do decide to share, they might drift into lengthy explanations or, on the other hand, give brief responses just to avoid the risk of being misunderstood. Have they ever been cut off with, "What does that have to do with anything?" when, in their mind, everything was clearly connected? This can make them feel as if the world speaks a language that isn't their own. However, struggling to communicate doesn't mean they lack clarity in their own mind. In fact, their thoughts work in an incredibly refined way, linking ideas that most people would never connect. The real challenge is expressing these thoughts to those who think in a more straightforward, step-by-step manner. When they find someone who can keep up with their thinking, conversation flows naturally, and their ideas take form with ease. But these moments don't happen often, and until they do, they need different ways to express themselves. Writing often becomes their greatest tool, giving them the time and space to arrange their thoughts without pressure. Even so, the feeling of not being fully understood never completely fades, sometimes making them feel distant from those around them. Living with a perspective that differs from most people's can be an invisible weight. The intuitive introvert doesn't just see the world in a unique way, they also feel that very few people truly understand them. While those around them talk about everyday topics, their mind is elsewhere, analyzing deeper ideas, imagining different possibilities, and uncovering hidden meanings. This feeling of not quite fitting in can make them feel like an outsider, even among those who are supposed to be their closest companions. They may be present physically, but their mind drifts elsewhere, as if it exists in a different realm. This sense of being separate isn't just something they experience in groups. It can also happen in deep friendships and relationships. They pick up on subtle cues that others overlook, sense emotions that haven't been spoken, and often wonder if anyone truly sees them for who they are. When they express something meaningful, they might be met with a casual "you overthink things," which only makes them withdraw further, choosing to keep their thoughts and feelings to themselves. But solitude doesn't always mean sadness. In reality, intuitive introverts often find peace in their own company and would rather be alone than in situations that feel shallow or forced. The real challenge comes when this detachment turns into a habit, causing them to retreat from experiences and relationships that could help them grow. They may feel caught between the need to connect and the urge to pull away, between longing to be understood and fearing they never will be. Philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said that even when we have the chance to start over, it is almost impossible to free ourselves from the consequences of what we have already experienced. Sometimes, the intuitive introvert wants to open up, wants to reconnect, but something pulls them back. The pain of past experiences, the fear of not being understood or repeating the same cycle. Freedom exists, but it carries the weight of emotional responsibility, and this weight can paralyze even the most sincere intentions. Still, learning to balance these opposing needs is essential so that introspection doesn't become isolation. For an intuitive introvert, time alone is vital. In quiet moments, they recharge, sort through their thoughts, and reconnect with themselves. But there's a fine line between reflection and complete withdrawal. Spending too much time in their inner world can separate them from the very experiences that bring depth and meaning to life. They might start putting off gatherings, skipping events, or turning down chances to connect because most social interactions feel either too shallow or too exhausting. The issue is that, without noticing, they could be shutting themselves away from meaningful experiences that might expand their perspective. This doesn't mean they should push themselves into situations that feel forced or draining. Instead, the key to balance is finding the right people and places, ones that feel real and fulfilling. They thrive in deep conversations, genuine relationships, and spaces where they don't have to constantly explain themselves. Rather than trying to fit into a world that moves too fast and feels overwhelming, they can shape their own way of connecting. Small gatherings, friendships, built on shared passions, and meaningful exchanges that add value instead of just filling time. Engaging with the world shouldn't feel like a duty, but rather a way to complement their inner reflections. Exploring new ideas, exchanging thoughts with those who truly get them, and allowing themselves to be part of something bigger can create the balance they need when they spend too much time in their own thoughts. Solitude can be a powerful refuge, but if it becomes their only reality, it might turn into an invisible cage. Reaching this balance takes self-awareness and small adjustments, but it's worth it because even the most brilliant mind needs fresh inspiration to keep growing. If, while reading this, you saw yourself in these words, maybe it's time to reflect on how you perceive and engage with the world. Do you often notice details that others overlook? Do you find it hard to put your thoughts into words because they feel too intricate to explain? Do you prefer solitude because most conversations seem surface level? These are just some of the traits of an intuitive introvert, but they show up differently in each person. Think back to your experiences. How often have you felt like you understood something before everyone else, only to have your insight dismissed because no one else saw it? Have you ever sensed the outcome of a situation without any solid proof, relying only on your intuition? Or maybe you've instantly felt drawn to someone, or, on the other hand, sensed an unexplainable distance from them right after meeting. These are signs that your mind picks up on things that can't always be logically explained. The important question is, how do you manage this heightened awareness? Do you keep your thoughts to yourself to avoid misunderstandings? Or do you look for better ways to express them? Do you use your intuition as a tool for personal growth? Or do you sometimes feel overwhelmed by everything you perceive? Understanding yourself is the first step to turning this sensitivity into something positive rather than a weight to carry. Learning how to balance it is something Carl Jung deeply explored in his studies on the human mind. He recognized that intuitive introverts have a powerful sense of perception, but they can sometimes become lost in their own thoughts. For Jung, the key was finding balance, embracing intuition without completely disconnecting from the real world. He encouraged people with this trait to bring their inner visions to life, whether through writing, art, or studying human nature. Without a way to ground their ideas, intuition could turn into a stream of thoughts detached from reality. He also cautioned against excessive isolation, believing that even though intuitive introverts naturally turn inward, staying connected to the world around them is essential. Finding ways to organize and share their thoughts gives direction to their perceptions. The more they turn their intuition into something real, the more fulfilling their life becomes. In the end, Jung highlighted the value of self-awareness. Instead of trying to conform, intuitive introverts should embrace their unique way of interpreting the world and find ways to express it with clarity. Their mind is a rare gift, but without a clear purpose, it can feel overwhelming. When they learn to balance intuition with action, they shift from being passive observers to active creators of change. If this topic resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you can keep learning how to unlock your potential and deepen your self-awareness.